Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Eva Salinas, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with artist Alexandra Helis, whose installation Corredor is part of Latin America Embedding Bodies and Localities, an exhibition co-presented by Sur Gallery in Toronto and Mayworks Festival of Working People and the Arts. I'm joining Alexandra from Hamilton, Ontario. And before we start, I want to acknowledge that I am on the traditional territories of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabeg nations. This is land covered by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement and is home to many Indigenous peoples from across Turtle Island. We may have people listening from all over the world, so I would like to respectfully acknowledge all Indigenous peoples who have stewarded this land throughout the generations and pay respect to elders both past and present. Alexandra is joining us from Toronto for this call. Hola y bienvenido, Alexandra.
Gracias, muchas gracias, Eva.
Let's start with hearing about Corredor. Tell us about how you came to tell the story of the Paja Canalera and maybe explain what that is in Panama and the process of creating this installation.
Wow, thank you. So Corredor, as many of my work, is the result of an encounter with a territory, with a community, and in this case with a plant, with the politics behind it, all of this. So I was invited to do a workshop in 2006, I'm sorry, to Panama City by United Nations. So I went to give a video workshop. As part of my life, or half of my life is working in communities or marginalized communities in South America, but also here in Canada. So I was invited there to do a workshop in the month of the Earth. So I was supposed to go and work with youth about the Earth, what is the environmental problems that they were facing at that time, because they are surrounded by the Panama Canal, by water mainly. So my big surprise was that they never talk about water, they never talk about the Panama Canal. So how the Panama Canal became so invisible, even though that they are surrounded by those large ships all the time. So between the canal, between them, between us and the land, in the territory, I start to see some kind of a moving green, like a wall, like a barrier, and that became the Paja Canalera. So the Paja Canalera, or Saccharum spontaneum, it is a plant that was moved by the US Army into the Panama Canal area, which was a US colony until the year 2000. So it was moved to be able to train their army that was fighting at that time in Vietnam. So it is a tall grass. It grows until 5 meters high. Each root is a rhizome of around 5 meters. So in their native land, is used by elephants to hide, or by the rhinocerons. So here, when they were fighting there, it was a big problem to cross it because it cuts you out. So they moved it here to Panama and became an invasive plant now. So it's growing everywhere. You see the plant or the mountains that are completely covered by that plant. So I was asking, what is that? And the people said, esos gringos extrañaban tanto su nieve que se trajeron la paja canalera. So the US people, they were really missing the snow, so they brought the paja canalera, because when it flowers, it is a beautiful white flower that covers the whole territory. So from there start the research of Corredor, the big picture. So Corredor really it is the beginning of my plant-based research creation project that really changed my life, where I exploring and recreating ecologies in the relationship of plants and people in different places. So the main idea is the plants as biopolitical allies, or biopolitical tool in this case, and it's central to the concept that I work of migrated plants or plantas migradas. So plants that have been moved to one territory to another as a way of controlling land or territory. So in this case, by people, by colonizers, or by people under power of somebody. Yeah? So the Paja Canalera was planted around mainly around the Panama Canal zone that used to have the biggest military bases of the US out of their territory. So it became a living barrier, kind of a invisible separation or wall. So from that, I started a long relationship with Panama, with the youth. And from 2006 to nowadays, I'm still working with them. So at the same time that we are working on doing videos documenting the gentrification process of the old Panama, I've been asking more and more about this plant. So the version that we are seeing here is one of the versions of Corredor.
So I want to know a bit more about the process, yeah. And because I know there was collaboration and your intentions behind it, but maybe just for those, you know, I've seen the exhibit, for those who aren't able to see it in person, just give us the sense of this particular installation, you know, the different experiences that one can have with the Canalera in it.
Exactly. So, okay, so the main components of Corredor are the Paja Canalera, or the plant, but also is the School of the Americas. So the School of the Americas was the main military base where were trained all the dictators of South America, most of them. During all this time, I've been creating my own archive. Yeah? So I'm interested in the non-official archives or repertoire. Yeah? So I couldn't find any archive of the Paja Canalera because this is a story that is that really changed completely the environmental history of the land, but also the environmental conditions and economical conditions. So, for example, Panama, it cannot export any more rice or pineapples because of the presence of these plants. It's highly invasive. So with these works, I'm trying to find or imagining different possibilities of living in interrelationship with plants. So where you go into the gallery, there are three main spaces. The first one is kind of a door, is the welcome you. It is an interactive piece where I'm inviting you to have your first dance or encounter with the plant. So all my work, every time that I'm installed the work changes or is adapted to the place. So in this case, I have a new piece, which is the paper. It's a 1, 2, 3 long pieces of paper that I made with the Paja Canalera during the pandemic time where I was in Panama now. Actually in Colombia also. So when you go into the place, you will find the paja. So a camera will recognize your movement. So by moving, the image of the black and white Paja Canalera move with you. And then on top of you is a small speaker that by being underneath, you have the sound. It's kind of a channel of sound really narrowed down that really tickles your body. So that is the first encounter with the plant visually, but also as a matter, as a fibers, almost in a microscopic way. So if you go closer, you will see even parts of my hair. So later that, if you continue, you'll see two screens in an angle. That is a kind of the documentary part, that component that I've been creating for the last, how many years? 14 years. With the, like, looking for the plant creating my own archive. So it is a mix of the plant in different places and in the former military bases also, but it's mixed in a dialogue with the official views of the U.S. Army. So you will see a couple of images in black and white, which is the U.S. colonized view that come and protect the land and protect America by protecting Panama. Uh, so in front of that, there is a small screen that it shows the live cameras of the Panama Canal. So you can see the two locks, so the entrance through the Pacific, but also the Atlantic Ocean, and especially the new one, which is the larger one, that is the third lock. So it's kind of hacking the system and kind of a contra surveillance. And then on top of, in front is a big wall with the small seats of the Paja Canalera that stretch it out and become that living wall in a poetic way that I created there.
Yes. There's so many layers to it. What were the drivers there? What were your intentions? Was it empathy? Was it deconstructing narratives, deconstructing history? What were those drivers for you? What are the questions you hope people are also going to ask when they interact with this?
Well, the main question definitely are the power relationships between the land, the population, but also the human, but the non-humans, no? And I'm looking to tell stories, or rewrite stories in a relational history with plants. So how can you tell the story of a place through the plants, through the relationships, plants and people? So this is what I've been doing there, always in a collaboration. So collaboration mainly with plants, but also with the community, with artists, and the youth that I've been working for so many years, scientists, historians. Yes.
This past year has been a year of challenge and change for so many people. I'm interested in what those challenges have been for you, but also I'm thinking of even the workers who built the Panama Canal, or just have you reflected on the meaning of work, and also just give us some insights too on your reflections there of the people that you were you've been collaborating with and whose stories you're telling here.
Well, here we have kind of two different stories. So one is the Panama Canal history and the workers, which is also pretty connected to plants. So the Panama Canal finally was built thanks to plants, because they were dying through different the insects or paludismo or fiebre amarilla or yellow fever. But then after seeing near them, they found out that they have the cure in the plants that are right there. So this is something that it seems that we've been forgetting these days, and I feel this pandemic, it is a reminder of that. It is a reminding of we are really interconnected. So we cannot continue talking about small ecosystems. Like, this is a large system, environmentally speaking, with nature, with the air, with the soil, with the water, but also with the people that works for us, with us, and services in care. It's really time to talk about the politics of care. So we cannot continue invisible, like having all those invisible forces of care as the doctor or the people that is cleaning, that is really making possible that we stay alive and together. So it's time to be together. It's too late to not be together, as a friend of mine says. Absolutely. All the time.
Yeah. And for you specifically, with your work, your art, your projects, what has this year meant for you? Any disruptions or revelations for you personally?
Well, personally, my life is, I've been always traveling. From my first memories are traveling between Colombia, Venezuela, Puerto Rico, now Panama. I live now in Canada, so it's always traveling. So at some point it was like, okay, it's time to stay at home, to stay calm. But no, so in the middle of everything, I have to travel to Colombia. My mom got sick, my grandma, so we have COVID, like the 3 cases COVID at home. So it was a moment really to like to be aware of our privilege, of my own privilege, but also the importance of the care. Again, I have to go back to the care now, because if it's something that we will notice now is the asphyxia. So it's the lack of air, is the lack of or the impossibility of being with the other social. So the social distancing, it seems that is bringing us back the opposite, the empathy, no? So for me to be in Colombia, in the house with my family, is the moment of taking care. So I don't have to work, I have to be here with my family. And then I went outside and I was looking around and I found a plant. So the paja canalera was there and I made the paper. No? So it's a whole circle. No? At the end, it's art is for me as a way of life, of being, and also it's constantly the conversation of poetics. No? So what is poetic? Poetic as a way of naming what you don't have name for it. So I feel it's time for that. Go back to the poetics.
That's a beautiful note to end it on. Thank you so much, Alexandra, for this great chat, and for all those listening and watching. You can find Alexandra's piece Corredor in Sur Gallery in Toronto, or virtually at surgalleryvirtual.ca. And for more information about the Mayworks Festival of Working People and the Arts, visit mayworks.ca. Thank you so much.
And thanks, Eva.
Ciao.
Thanks. Ciao.